Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCK 2020 Spring Playoffs. I'm Atlas, joined by LS and T1. In the end, were the inevitable destroyers of DRX. Max and Chovy have never been able to take down this team in a best-of-5 series, and that is looking to continue, as I believe the chances for DRX are now even slimmer than they were in our previous assumption. And not necessarily just because, you know, they're down a game, right? It's their down mentality, and a few of the throws in that game on DRX's side could have been really tilting. So we'll just have to see how they play in game number 2 to tell us exactly how bad that in fact was.
Yeah, and we'll see how DRX are going to try to bounce back in game number 2. I'm really curious, by the way, who did end up getting player of the game?
I think we both have voted for Effort, but I think that Kana will probably pick it up.
I think Kana is definitely a candidate to end up getting it. And that'll be interesting to end up seeing, as well as who is going to be on what color going into game number 2. I think that would obviously say a lot.
I think DRX will be on blue side. I don't think that there is any question mark there whatsoever.
Well, see if they can end up utilizing that. I think that T1 on red, in theory, should be scarier, just because of the dynamic of this matchup and the tendency for how DRX tends to draft and what that could mean in terms of how susceptible they could be to having another losing draft, as it is going to be Effort.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, there is a god. 1, 0, and 17 for the Brad coming out of the support role. And Effort picking up this player of the game is almost compounded by the fact that he's up against Carrier. And yes, Carrier was on Tom Kench, not a lot of agency necessarily, but these Tempered Fates were just beautiful this game, and was certainly able to control the battlefield exactly how you'd want to.
Yeah, he did so much setting the game up for his team to find success. Bard pick really working out, and you know how happy I am to see Tom and Braum getting punished as we near the end of Spring 2020. As DRX, they just couldn't really find any way back into it after that Baron throw. And early on, also even struggling to really achieve anything as well. Not a whole lot going on in that regard, as it's going to be unanimous. 9 out of 9 for Effort.
I'm actually very impressed with everyone's voting prowess. I thought there might be a cheeky on there. I mean, often we do have Jonas Strong going a little bit rogue in these particular votes, but not happening this time, and Effort's going to pick up the unanimous decision. I think he did have a fantastic game, and the fact that Effort's performing well is really dangerous. It really does blunt what DRX wants to be able to play around, and that is Carrier being just so damn good. And it's not going to matter as much if you've got someone on the opposite side that's able to do the same thing. Effort's certainly coming into his own here towards the end of the split, and so far in this game number 1. But let's see if they can do it in game number 2, as DRX, predictably, moving over to the blue side.
Well, we'll see what kind of a first pick they're going to end up going for here. As what's going to be their first ban? It's going to be the Azir, as T1 immediately respond with the Varus.
And I wonder whether it will be Varus and the Aphelios both banned away first here by T1. It might be just Varus, Aphelios, Kalista taken off the board to make sure that Def does have to dig a bit deeper into that champion pool to try and work out what to play next. But of course, LeBlanc and the Azir to be taken away by DRX. Now the final ban is going to be a bit of a question mark, as last time it was the Varus because they were on red side. Not going to need to so much on the blue side. We'll see what they decide to go with.
DRX final ban has to come in. It's going to be the Akali actually getting banned away, and I think that's actually a really big red flag if you are a DRX fan, as Thresh is the final champion that gets banned by T1. And the reason that I say that about the Akali is mostly because we have seen her sometimes, and a lot of times that we have seen her, she hasn't been super problematic. There's been ways to control her. I mean, even in the last game, I don't think the Akali was something that necessarily caused them a lot of problems as a pick itself. I think that DRX obviously had other issues that were existing in that game. As now they're going to lock in the B1 Kalista, T1 responding R1 Senna.
Oh, wow. And Teddy hasn't had the best games on the Senna so far. So we'll see whether this is going to be some sort of effort Senna decision or whether Teddy's going to demonstrate to us that he's put some extra time onto this champion. Set did slip through the ban phase as well, so this could be Senna Set bottom lane just locked in for T1 if they'd like to. Does alleviate some of Set's problems in the support role. As now, DRX is going to lock in Tarek and probably the Trundle, I would assume.
Tarek would make sense unless this is going to be top Kalista, in which case they could try to take mages down bot again that are very good against Senna, and that might be a Ziggs bottom, but also Chovy is
Chovy
able to
Ziggs
play
has been
the
really
Ziggs.
good.
Yeah.
I think it was Def that debuted it this season, actually, as certainly is going to be leaving things very open for DRX as far as their interpretation. And it might mean that Canna is forced to pick something else towards the top side, and this set will have to be that support set that we were thinking about. Won't necessarily change the difficulties, but could certainly give Canna a better matchup into the Kalista. As that is Gragas locked away for Cuz likely, and that is it. So a lot of flexibility in the damage range between Faker and Canna this game as well. So we could have Faker on one of these AD mid laners potentially. Yasuo, always something worth thinking about when there is a Gragas.
Well, Gragas getting locked in is really scary. I know many people do consider him to be the best jungler in the meta, in just an all-around sort of a way. As T1, they're going to ban away the Morgana. And DRX now responding Tom Kench.
Now, I think Tom Kench Tarek should be... Oh, wait, no. You don't have to ban the Tarek. Maybe it's Tom Kench Maokai to try and deny the other two supports that you'd want to put with a Senna.
The thing about fasting Senna is that there's so many options that can actually go with her, even though in the LCK we've seen very limited amounts of pairings with her. But she's just so oppressive and obnoxious. As T1 now, they ban away the Tarek. They're basically trying to deny the bread and butter of the Kalista Tarek combo that we have seen all so often. But remember, that could still be a Kalista top or even a Kalista mid. It doesn't necessarily have to go bot lane, as Nautilus now gets banned away by DRX, and Jace is going to be hovered and locked in.
All right, so it is going to confirm that either we've got a weird flex on the Jace, or that set is indeed heading towards the bottom side of the map. DRX will see what they do with this information. There's 10 seconds to go. That could be Chovy's Aatrox for the mid lane. We still won't learn too much about where champions are going in this draft. And now, Carrier, they do still need a support regardless of where any of these champions are going. So I love the added flexibility that this comp has. If they just lock in Alistair here, we just have no idea. I mean, the Aatrox could be top or mid. The Kalista could be AD or top, and then the Ziggs could be mid or bot. So, like, I don't know. That's a Jarvan. So it's looking like we're going to have a Trundle support, I believe, for the first time in the LCK for 2020.
Well, this is going to be pretty interesting, as I don't know what to think. I mean, we mentioned that DRX, they like to sin, and this team composition was birthed and baptized in hell. That is what I have to say to you, Atlas. Says they are only going one direction, and the only thing that is saving it and allowing it to scale in the later stages is a I don't even know, what would you call Ziggs? He really likes explosions. I know there's a word for it and it's not coming to me.
Pyromaniac?
Is he a... No, that's for fire, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I guess explosions are kind of like fire as well.
Yeah. Well,
as, we're going to get some switcheroo, and Chovy at the moment has the Kalista. So don't know what that means, as it's likely that it's going to get swapped. Come on, 3 seconds to go.
Might be mid Kalista.
Wait, are we going to go last second swap for Kalista bot lane?
No, it's going to be the
It's Kalista mid. All right.
Yeah. So Kalista. So a lot of people, they don't know about this. Now I do want to just break off and say that T1 yet again way more scaling on their team composition. The only thing that bails DRX out is that Ziggs. So we'll have to see what Def can do on it. Now, Kalista originally When I remember talking about her in December and November, it was because there was a one trick on the Korean ladder that played her in the mid lane last year and was Grandmaster Challenger player. So her original debut in Korean solo queue was not actually the Shy up in top lane, but a Grandmaster Challenger Kalista player that only played her predominantly in mid with Ignite or Barrier. And so we know that she's able to be pivoted mid. We see it less frequently, but it does exist in scrims across regions.
And we also know that Chovy has about 400 secret accounts, so it is so hard to find out what he's playing in solo queue. And it's likely that he's put a whole bunch of games on this Kalista pickup, so we'll just have to see what he's going to be able to do with it, as Trundle being able to be picked up with a Fate's Call is also very, very powerful as far as getting those picks are concerned. And you can see Pyosik already marked as the Oath Sworn as Chovy's going to make his way out. And with the Hail of Blades, you're able to get a lot of those sticks into your opponents in this mid lane, and we'll see what Chovy's going to be able to do to try and control this lane. Especially with the added width of mid lane, you are able to line up your pierces with your Rens a little bit more effectively.
Well, we'll see what Chovy can do with this Hail of Blades Kalista. Corki, I can imagine, actually has a bit of a difficult time in the early stages, and even recalling into the Tear of the Goddess would be a bit surprising. The other thing is that Faker's taking the Exhaust, and while that is really good against Kalista, she keeps just stacking her Ren stacks on you until it fades away. And that's where the brunt of the damage comes in. So it's a bit of a game. Can you cast the Exhaust when you anticipate the opponent to go for the Rend? And if you can, then you get a lot of value out of it. But without that teleport, I think this lane's going to be very hard. All Pyosik needs to do this game is play really low economy, focused around mid and bot lane, and needs to convert that into early dragon captures, into early presence, and get the Kalista and the Ziggs really far ahead. If he fails to do that, T1 are going to be sitting pretty, 15 to 25 minute mark, just scaling up, and then inevitably probably just winning the game for free.
Well, got a bit of a trade there on the bottom side of the map. Deft actually taking the worst of all of it, as you can see. We'll see whether they're able to get control back in this lane, as that is Airy on the Jarvan. This is the Spirit Special, the AP Jarvan bottom lane. Just likes to put flags on people. That's what he does. He applies the Airy over and over again. And we'll just see whether it's going to work. Certainly a very, I guess, mono-red decision, as my good friend LS would say. Doesn't do a whole lot as the game moves forward.
I like that more and more are starting to actually use colors in the community, even if they don't necessarily play Magic.
Yep. I certainly don't. I don't even play Hearthstone anymore.
Exactly. Red just associated or synonymous with pure aggression and basically trying to go forward. Blue, obviously, defensive, controlling in nature. And all about that sainthood, basically, as
Well,
T1
this is obviously red versus blue. I know you can see at the top of your screen that's exactly what it is based on their colors, but switch those around and you have the play style.
Exactly. That is what's happening here. And that really is the theme of these two teams basically going up against one another, as Keria, I don't know what he's looking to try to do.
Ooh, that's cute. He's just waiting for the cooldown on his flag, dude. That's all he does.
Just wants to plant flags.
He just has a flag. He's like wishing he was alive in the 60s so he could have been the one to go to the moon, you know? I just want to put that flag down. But he'll have it back available again. See that? Cop that flag. Every single time.
And you can see Faker looking for maybe a recall right now. This is one of the scary things about Kalista, is if she keeps the wave in the very middle of the lane, things can get a little bit ugly because she has so much reach with all her hops. And so it's very difficult to even approach the lane. And if she has a freeze, it's a nightmare. She'll just dog you down even through your flash, even through the Valkyrie on Corki. She can still reach that lethal threshold. As Faker recalled into a call, so a bit of a savant here in the mid lane, as Cuz is gonna just walk away and really juggling the patience bar on the wolf, but doesn't actually elect to kill it, as he is just going for counter
deny it. Yeah, exactly. Canna up here is going to have this wave crash back towards Doran. You can see currently 6 CS in the lead, but it should equalize. And it's at a pretty good time for Doran to be sitting underneath his turret with the Gragas up here towards topside in the enemy jungle. As you can see, it's so far a pretty decent advantage for Pyosik when it comes to clearing out those camps. He goes back, gets his skirmishing saber as well as his little ruby crystal. And we'll see when Chovy hits level 6, whether that's going to be the go time for the DRX jungler. Doran's trying to do the best that he can up here towards topside, but you can see Canna is being very frustrating, and Pyosik just walking over wards here in his own jungle gets the bad news as Kuz goes back, and we'll be able to even out that camp count based on all of the extra camps that he removed from Pyosik.
And right now, T1 are, I mean, they're sitting somewhat okay. The Kalista does have an advantage, obviously, against the Corki inside of this lane, but that call will help mitigate some of the pressure. Meanwhile, down in bot lane, Teddy and Effort not doing the worst. And, you know, the set is definitely a champion that can benefit from the fasting playstyle. As Kana might die here, but should be able to pop away.
Flash actually comes in from Doran. 200 health, flash forward from Pyosik, but it's a good slow after the knockback, and that is going to mean that Canna even holds onto his flash and gets both of them out of DRX.
And that, I mean, it's a huge outplay by Kana. They get both the flashes out of DRX, and that Aatrox is going to be really susceptible now to...
Oh my goodness, he might actually be able to turn this as well as he gets the boot back. Nicely done. And now, it was a shock blast away from death for Doran. Not quite there anymore as Pyosik once again back towards the top side, still with flash in hand, and he's going to back on a ward. Absolutely not what you want, as this might still be a turnaround opportunity. There it is! We saw it coming and it happened. It's going to be a 1-for-1 most likely as the red buff ticks down, but still 100% worth for Canna.
And Kana is just bopping Doran up here in top lane in both of these matchups so far. Really just putting on quite a performance. Doran didn't get an assist on that Jace kill. He did get some of the XP, but no gold going into his pocket, and that's going to be serrated dirt double longsword for the Jace returning to this lane. Ninja Tabai is going to be picked up by Doran for more trade potency, but this is not what you want to have happening. Is take a look. Both flashes being used. Pyosik actually flashes forward, but he doesn't have anything to apply.
Yeah,
and then right here, recalling on top of a ward, shock blast into a flash and knocking him backwards. So clown bopping Doran right there.
I mean, that was just so silly from Doran. He doesn't need to do that. He didn't need to try and... I don't think the back was going to go through in time anyway. So, yeah, just a little bit unfortunate there as Def down pretty low on mana, but there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Great knock-up as Teddy's going to have to flash out of the way. Pyosik very late to this fight, however. We're going to have Teddy making his way out, but flash and heal now on cooldown for the Senna.
And Senna is just going to have to be a little bit more respectful inside of the slate. Doran's going to go back to trying a farm here.
Yeah, misses a cannon creep. Unfortunate.
The real victory is happening in mid. Chovy is putting on a clinic in mid lane. Look at how oppressive the Kalista is. She's almost full HP. She's at about 50% mana. She hasn't recalled. Faker has recalled twice now. He's going to be forced to do this. Is Pyosik going to cancel his back? And this is the problem with not having teleport in this matchup is you take the exhaust for extra safety and also to scale better into the later stages of the game, but without that teleport, it's really hard for Corki to find any sort of stability, and now Chovy is going to be the one that has the leg up. Faker moving into Chovy, greedy recall by him. Faker would have been able to cancel that with just an R, and so now they're going to go even on a reset unless Chovy cancels his recall, but I don't think that he wants to because I believe this is Cannon Wave, so he would not be able to shove that lane in time. Vampiric Scepter, Hex Drinker, picked up by him. That's a lot of value against the Corki and the Gragas, and T1 pick a scaling team comp and rotate for Rift Herald, so let's see how it pans out here.
Well, they do it on a recall, and that's certainly good. You can see it is going to be a trade for this Cloud Drake DRX. If they can move towards a Soul earlier, then it certainly could be good news here. As our Faker clears out this minion wave comfortably, but it's exactly as Chovy's making his way back. His Facebreaker not going to be able to find the mark, as Def finds a whole bunch of damage onto Effort. And these turret plates are going to just start falling as the Cloud Soul does fall down. Faker pushed into the Fog of War as Teddy moves up topside, and Shelly is placed down to try and at least get first turret blood, as now Faker taking pierce damage, rend damage, everything from Chovy.
So the thing here is that Set doesn't end up getting dove during all of this, so they do still lose some minion waves with effort there to pick up all the CS and the XP. And remember, this is a fasting support, so it's not like he has the support debuff or anything like that going on. They end up collapsing and accelerating the Jace up in top lane as it went completely unnoticed by DRX, so nothing gonna really end up happening that's too catastrophic. However, killing that turret this early on is gonna give Aatrox a lot more farm for freedom. So at the very end of this, Jace is up 6 CS. Let's see where he's at 5 minutes from now.
Oh my god. The amount of damage that is just being poured onto effort here. The grit is being eaten so effectively. I mean, I feel like he could have died about twice in this lane so far, but now even Teddy's going to turn up, and the Piercing Darkness is going to keep the Set alive. Certainly showing the value as far as sitting underneath the turret and taking abuse just to try and keep it alive.
And, well, Faker still continuing to get more.
Oh my god, he just solo killed him! Underneath the turret with a Pierce, Chovy! Amazing play now, Cuz out of position. Pillar is fantastic this time around, and Cuz has to flash to get out of the Cataclysm. But Chovy's gonna flash forward, misses the Pierce. That is going to be an unforced error, but Chovy's still going to pick up this Trundle, throws it back towards Teddy, just to make sure that they're not going to die to it, but Teddy is in trouble. Good stun onto Chovy, and he does fall down in the end, punished for over-aggression.
And this is just DRX doing DRX things sometimes. Chovy had the solo kill, could have picked up the turret plates, had the XP advantage, had a massive CS advantage as well, and they could have just taken turret plates and tried to farm out the jungle, especially because they knew where Cuz was, but chose to be needlessly aggressive for virtually no reason. And now T1, they get a kill onto Chovy, they relieve all of the pressure. Let's take a look at how this all transpired. So, all of these stacks just going straight into the Corki. And you can tell Faker didn't even realize what was about to come his way.
Yeah, because he rendered the minions as he was shooting the Pierce through. It was very clean from Chovy, but this was a
They could have just rotated everyone to mid. They had the Trundle, they had the Jarvan. They just move everyone mid, they get several turret plates, and then you have the Trundle go over to the Raptor camp. But no, instead, they gotta flip a coin. And at this time, it's not gonna pan out the way that they wanted. Effort goes over the wall, face breaker onto Chovy, and that's a really big tempo swing in T1's favor. That again, it relieves a lot of pressure.
And our Faker has gone for the Manamune build as well, so he's going to slowly ramp. Of course, he will hit some pretty high power spikes, but they're not happening yet. He still needs Muramana completion. His carrier just put a flag on him. Just do it. Oh, he missed it. Terrible. He had one job. That is place flags. Didn't manage to get that one done. As Ocean Drake going to be available in a minute and a half. No Cloud Soul this time around, as it will be Mountain or Infernal. Both of these teams would love Infernal Drakes.
Yep.
Mountain Drake not so valuable, but at least there will be some tanky stats on Pyoshik and Doran, not to mention effort as well, as Cuz going to be going full damage. As Def very close to just being able to satchel charge this turret to death, and is going to do it right there. So, turrets are going to be equalized. The Jace still just farming things out on the top side of the map as Carrier over to the side here, just buying space for Deft, who is currently 40 CS in the lead over that of T1.
So this
Chovy
is
should be able to get another plate.
Yeah, Chovy will get that. I mean, it's 45 seconds until the Ocean Dragon. Now, Aatrox is going to immediately shove out this wave because we're allergic to freezing here in the LCK. We can't all be Wonder from G2 versus Mad Lions, as he's going to play ping pong with the Jace. But you can see Jace rotating into mid. He would be forced to share with Goldon.
Yeah, there's the Fate's Call. Faker not going to get knocked up, but he has absolutely no mana. Doran's going to get in. Great knock-up, but the Dawning Shadow will come in and keep Canna alive. The double flashes come in, but Cuz is there with the body slam. Fantastic defensive play here from T1 as Doran taking so much damage. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to land, but only onto Faker. And DRX do walk away with their lives, but they're unable to get the pickoffs onto T1. Oh, Def. Just being frustrating at the moment. Not going to be able to stop too many of these backs, though, as he takes down the minions.
Well, as at this point, T1 are going to group for the Ocean Dragon. And this was just DRX being a little bit over-aggressive again. There was a way for Chovy to live there without any added assistance. And now T1, they're going to stabilize. Turret plates have all fallen at this point. Another Rift Herald coming up. It's not going to be the end of the world. They are ahead 1,000. Mountain Drake coming up is really good news if you're a T1 fan, because Kalista never builds any sort of penetration. Ziggs doesn't typically build penetration. I would imagine, I mean, he could end up going Void Staff, or he could go Oblivion Orb as his next item, but usually Ziggs will not end up picking that up until third or fourth item, so it's definitely a nice swing in power that really helps stifle DRX's team comp. And right here you can see Chovy was fine. They didn't need the teleport from Doran whatsoever. Great cast out of the Gragas. And just another nice body slam as well by Cuz.
Cuz's defensive play here was absolutely spectacular. Really beautiful. But no harm, no foul. The gold's still very close. And it's not the same scaling disaster as it was in game number 1. It is still, you know, sinful composition out of DRX. But like you were talking about, it's all about deft. Can he get super far ahead? Guess what? He's super far ahead. So things are just fine at this point. As Chovy also still has a very large advantage. But as it goes on, I find it so crazy that Tier 1 always puts themselves into positions like this where they have the wait-and-see composition almost every time.
Yes.
Where it's on their opponents to make the decisions.
Yeah. And I was very vocal all throughout Spring 2020 that T1, when they're the ones with the more scaling team composition, and scaling's always relative. It doesn't just inherently mean that you have traditional scaling champions, but rather, how does your champion scale compared to your opponents? And when T1 have the luxury or the insurance policy on their side, things get a lot scarier when the onus or the responsibility isn't on them to get ahead, because they do tend to outmuscle opponents in the mid to late transition, and they're really known for their resilience inside of games. So when you have drafts like these, it's so much better because it's so unrealistic to assume that you can keep flipping the coin in your favor with high variance plays. And I just don't know what DRX is supposed to do this game. This is kind of reminiscent of Fnatic versus G2, where the DRX team composition, unless it gets unholy ahead, doesn't really have a leg to stand on.
Well, I mean, that resistance question that you had, sorry, the penetration question, is going to be answered. Deft already with his Oblivion Orb completed. Doran doing his best to try and at least hold on to this turret bottom side. But you can see Canna is very, very powerful right now. An effort happily picking up minions here towards the top side on his support set. Not necessarily a support, as he just clears out those minions very easily. He's got a lot of tanky items. He's going to go back and complete possibly one of them right here. We'll see what he comes back with. There's now 2,000 gold is the lead for T1. Mountain Drake available in 2 minutes time. And Chovy still with an advantage mid lane. We still have Deft with an advantage coming out of the bottom side, but he needs to do so much work. And interestingly, hearing from CVMax about his MVP for the team, he did give it to Deft. He said that he's been consistent. He said that he's been a really good voice for the team, keeping everyone's morale up. So he's going to be very important in this particular series.
We'll see what Deft can do, because all the eggs are going to be in the Ziggs basket this game, as he's the only champion that really can do anything against T1s. It's going to be so hard for them to engage. I mean, Kana...
There's the Cataclysm carrier going down very, very low. Knockup finally comes in as Dawning Shadow there to try and keep Canna alive, but Effort's going to teleport forward. There's the showstopper onto Pioshik as he's looking to try and get out of there. Faker's going to throw down the exhaust onto Carrier. Carrier going to survive for the moment. Pioshik also surviving for a very long time, but finally does go down. Cuz looks for one, but misses onto Deft. It's a good flash. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down, and Doran is going to survive for the moment. Meanwhile, Kalista's on the top side of the map just farming. So it is, in the end, just one death, and that's going to be okay for DRX.
And so T1 end up turning this around, and Pioshik does end up dying. 30 seconds until the Mountain Dragon. Like you were saying, the Kalista getting a lot of solo XP, solo gold, trying to also get the turret. T1 definitely getting the better edge of that trade. DragonX very fortunate that Cuz didn't actually elect to just go for Doran, because that was 100% of a free kill. So both of these teams are actually greeding a little bit in this series as Mountain's up in 5 seconds. This is absolutely going to go over to T1. As DRX, they ping for the Rift Herald. That's not that big of a victory. Even if you get the mid-tier 1 turret, you're looking at 250 gold with being spread out across several members, as well as the turret gold itself. And it's not the biggest victory. Definitely T1 is making out in this trade for the better.
Oh, absolutely. And Cuz not even going to have to need any help here on this one either, so T1 don't give up too much map control by taking this Drake either. They do have all of the vision control down here towards the bottom side, so there was no real way
탑에 안 보여. 애들
DRX
미드야,
could
얘네.
get in. So we have a look at this replay once again.
내가 장면 홀까지 잘 써봐. 홀까지 잘 써봐.
기계 좋아 길게
짧은 너플
길게 해봐 다 잡았어 이거 다 잡았어 천천히
Go
짧은
slow.
너플이야.
Slow.
사운드 풀 있어.
닉스
He
볼게
has
나
flash. Try to land flash.
직스 봐.
Ziggs, or look at Ziggs.
널 맞았다 이거.
어
있어 앞에 풀 있어.
또 있고. 나 2, 3초, 2초. 끝인 것 같아. 빼자.
야 시고
So that was the thing I was talking about. Cuz elected to go for the Ziggs when Aatrox, at the very worst case scenario, Aatrox flash would have been able to come out, but Aatrox could have died there. However, it doesn't matter. T1 still make out positive in that, as they now have Mountain Dragons. That's a little bit of extra resistances that is going to be very nice for them in the next couple of team fights. They are about 11 minutes away from Mountain Soul, and if they get that, the game just ends.
Yeah. But we're not there yet. Still, a few Drakes to go, like you were saying. 10 minutes time at the minimum. Well, I guess closer to 8. That's fine. Carrier over here clearing out vision where he can get in there safely. And this is the point where the old Jarvan support is going to stop really doing much at all. It's going to be very hard for him to buy space with his very limited health pool. As Muramana, pretty close to the transformation. Only 150 or so to go here for Faker before he gets a fair bit of added damage. But already has a lot of sustain, as Deft in the mid lane is going to be able to perpetually push these minion waves. You can see Rift Herald still being sat on by Pyoshik. We'll see where he's actually going to put that one down. Ideally, it will be in the mid lane, as Canna has jumped on top of Dora, and the flash not going to be enough there as he's looking for the final knockup. Will get it as Worldender is in. Flash over from Canna, and is still able to secure the kill despite missing that shock blast. This is a disaster for DRX if the 1v1 on the bottom side of the map is just going to keep going this way.
Yeah, I mean, Kana is just destroying Doran in this series.
Oh my god, speaking of being destroyed, Teddy getting taken down extremely low. Another charge comes through from Shelly, as Doran does have teleport, but he's still dead for another 17 seconds. And thankfully for DRX, they were able to get so much chip damage onto the members of T1 to stop them from going for any sort of re-engage. Deft will clear out the minion wave. He's looking to go back. He has his forbidden book completed here in form of the Morellonomicon. We'll see what he picks up next when he goes back home, as he can sell himself off one of these Doran's rings. But hasn't actually decided to do so just yet as he clears out more minion waves. Let's have a look at this replay once again of Doran just being taken down.
Kana is up in levels, but I mean, just gets the leg up, jump onto the Aatrox, and it doesn't matter about any of Aatrox's healing inside of this, as that was like one of those anime samurai battle things where they jump in the air and you don't know who got hit, but
yeah,
Kana jumping right past the Aatrox on his next Q and just bringing him down. And again, he's really putting on a clinic in both of these games. Doran is looking very outclassed in this series so far, and everything is super stable for T1 in this game, as Maul Malmortius was picked up by Chovy. That's a lot of damage onto Pyoshik.
Yeah, Pyoshik not exactly the tankiest boy just yet. Has gone for the Knight's Vow instead of anything a little bit more defensive. So yeah, he's still going to take a fair bit of damage, but should be able to use his King's Tribute as he farms things out, get himself back up to health. But not a lot of camps at the moment to be taking. Chovy's going to be able to take down this control ward in the back of the Baron Pit as we tick towards 24 minutes into the game. I don't know whether either team is going to be too confident taking down something like a Baron. We'll see where they do decide to go. Faker has found himself the CS advantage at this point in time, as it has been predominantly Deft farming against him. And as they've been playing ping pong, it's been all to the benefit of the Ziggs. As you can imagine, DRX are actually pretty happy with, as he's building towards his death cap. If that third item comes in at a decent timing, it will be dangerous for T1 if they continue to try and collapse into these fights, because they don't have massive amounts of range with this composition.
No, and I think that the really key thing here is this next Mountain Drake is going to be super important because there's more and more resistances starting to come in on the T1 members.
That's a fair bit of burst. As Canna is, you can't stop it. There's absolutely nothing that they can do here. As Faker isn't actually aware of Doran backing in that brush, as Carrier was going back home as well. This inhibitor turret should just be taken down as Chovy's looking to take away a control ward. Package delivered to Chovy as the exhaust comes in as well. He's trying to hop out of here and he has nowhere to go whatsoever. Great cask once again from Cuz. And in the meantime, Canna is just winning the game by himself.
Yeah. Kana opens up the top inhibitor turret, and that's really big because that can create a win con now if they end up getting the Baron and having the wave in close proximity. They'll just be able to run that through, but Super Mega Death Bomb, name I can't pronounce, did not being able to get the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, we don't have a Jinx in this game, so it's just the Mega Inferno Bomb.
Okay.
Not the Super Mega Death Mega Inferno Super Bomb, which I think those two together are going to equal. It's not really fair having like Mega Inferno Bomb and Super Mega Death Rocket in like the same game. Especially as a commentator. It's not
Zig should be able to upgrade his ult like Gangplank.
Yeah, just adds extra adjectives to it.
Yes.
Doesn't actually change the damage whatsoever. You're just allowed to add an adjective.
That would be good. That would
it's like the last one is like Mega and Uber Inferno Monster Bomb or something like that. Level 3.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
That's just cosmetic. It just turns it golden. It's like Prestige Edition. But you do it in-game.
Yeah.
For 450 RP in-game.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I like it. That's value. It's value right there.
It is value. Faker goes for the Valkyrie here onto Chovy, uses the exhausting Cuz the barrel over the arm, collapsing onto Chovy and just killing him as Kana was really busy raising everything up and top laning. This game, I think, is just... hold on!
Okay, Deft does a lot of damage. Mega Inferno Bomb onto Faker, but doesn't land a sweet spot. In the meantime, like we were talking about, it's never good if there's a 4v4 happening on this map, because it means that Canna's probably destroying your base.
Yep. And it looks like DRX, they want to start up the Baron. Cuz is here, though, with ultimate. It's also red side Gragas, so the cask as well as just the safety of being able to approach this as Pioshek, he can't tank it. Oh, no.
Okay, so Canna's just going to wait for it.
Huh?
Faker's in the pit for some reason. Not sure exactly how that happened because we were panned towards the bottom side. Baron down to half health. Remember, they do have Rend available. T1 are teleporting for this one as Effort dives into the backline. Great face breaker. As Doran's going to... Sorry, Deft is going to get taken down first. A double kill for Canna, who's just a monster in this team fight. And Teddy had respawned. He's got a Dawning Shadow. And once again, DRX hand over a Baron on a silver platter.
Oh! And these bullets are actually missing Chovy, but it doesn't matter. And there's the minion wave with close proximity to the Baron buffed up minions. 25 seconds on the Ziggs. He will have his ultimate available, but you can see Effort recalling. He has TP. They could lock up the turret plates, and this might just be the end yet again, Atlas, as DRX, Baron's playing for T1.
It certainly is. Seems like DRX can never go for a Baron without it just belonging to T1. As they do have a couple respawning. Carrier and Pioshek down here, not with a lot of damage available, but it's Effort down here. Not necessarily one of the large damage dealers. If that was Canna, he probably would have killed both of them. But instead, he's going to take down this outer turret in the mid lane. And we are very close to a 10,000 gold lead. This game, LS, is over.
Yeah, this game is absolutely over. I mean, we can take a look at how this all transpired, though. Really nice combo by Carrier and Deft to take down Teddy. But then remember, Teddy, during this replay, 10 seconds until he would end up spawning, Jace elects to teleport in. And then it was a bit of an assemblant, or yeah, they assemble here for the Baron fight. Cass goes in, superplex onto Doran, Baron 6th member for T1. As then Teddy casts the Senna ultimate, And that was pretty much sayonara for DragonX's hopes inside of this game, as Chovy just has to look on at all of the corpses of his teammates in the Baron pit, Baron going over to T1. And there's no way for DRX to come back in this game. There's no conceivable way, barring the T1 members forgetting how to play League of Legends.
Yeah, there might be some disconnects, but then we're probably going to have to pause, guys. So that's not even going to be a win condition here for DRX. As this inner turret falls down, remember, there was no inhibitor turret anyway on the bottom side, as Canna is taking a fair bit of damage. It's a good pillar there from Pyoshik. But Chovy can't chase after him. Faker doing a lot of damage to this turret as well as he moves this next minion wave forward. As Canna should be able to take down this inhibitor. Doran down to half health. There's the Fate's Call. Doesn't get a knock-up though. As Cuz getting burned down, but there's the turnaround. Pyoshik should be dying here. Dawning Shadow comes in to keep all of T1 alive. 3 dead in the blink of an eye. Death's going to fall down as well. Double kill for Faker as he's going to get rid of this inhibitor as well. And Carrier barely has a health bar. I don't know what you're doing out of your fountain right now, as this is going to be the last push for T1 in Game 2. And they're already at match point. They are speedrunning these playoffs so far.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Nexus turret's falling, and Atlas, this is really just looking like a 3-0 because I refuse to believe DRX is going to get any sort of a draft edge that would give them hope in one of these games. All they like to do is sin to win, and that's not going to work here today.
Nope. Nothing's really working here for DRX. They're going for some very interesting compositions. I liked the mind games they were trying to play here on the blue side, but I don't know, man. Sometimes you just got to play straight up League of Legends and hope that it works, because in that game, it felt like DRX had to do something, but every time T1 knew what they were going to do beforehand, and they were just better players in those instances. And it really does feel like this T1 squad can play around any of their members. I don't know what it is. Like, that game was all about Canna being able to carry. Teddy was just a support. Faker fell down very low early, but then late game was able to do so much work. It felt like they were handing the I guess the bar around to each of their players and saying, okay, your turn to carry, your turn to carry, your turn to carry. And DRX had no idea who it was that was going to smash them in each team fight.
And, well, I think one of the most impressive things about tonight's matches is Kana doing so well. I gave him the MVP vote for this game on the Jace. He drew so much pressure as well as relieved so much at so many different parts of the game, and just having a really nice Jace performance. And it really looks like top gap in this series here tonight, which is really big for T1 because it means that they're getting a lot of pressure from a role that I don't think anyone anticipated it to come into. And the other problem is that Chovy can't seem to get anything going, even though he's gotten advantages. DRX is just all too keen on trying to gamble them away. Cuz is also jungle gap here in this series.
And when he gets Gragas, it's always a very, very scary prospect. Remember also this game had like 4 Faker bans in the first round as well, and Faker still picks the Corki and was just as relevant in this game as he would have been with any of his other picks, in my personal opinion. Maybe not the LeBlanc, because that is, of course, his bread and butter. But this is where it all started to go wrong. When that 1 versus 2 was equalized by Canna, this play was amazing from Chovy. We know that Chovy is just really damn good, but it just didn't matter. He still went overly aggressive afterwards and threw that lead away.
From Chovy to Choki in the blink of an eye, as right here, Teddy and Effort collapsing down. Carrier knows that, hey, I can't do anything here. And not a whole lot of things happening or going the way of T1, as Kana just has so much damage here. Pillar comes out, but it doesn't matter. They don't have the damage to end up killing him. And this was just a really nice collapse. Faker barely misses out on the ability to get Carrier. They eventually turn their attention. They're right here, barely managing to escape. Kana with some fancy feet right here. Doran tries to flash, misses the first Q, misses the second one, tries to go for the third one, but Kana flashes right by it. So something out of a movie.
Yeah. And this was sick, actually, from Faker as well. Immediately gets the exhaust. Cuz always there with the fantastic casks. I think some of his defensive play this game was absolutely fantastic. More of that utility-style Gragas, but it's just showing you the versatility of this particular champion pick. And this is once again DRX just with a happy birthday T1 on the Baron.
Well, yeah, this was, I don't know what to say about this Baron by DRX.
Can you please break down this throw for me? Was their arm in the right position?
Oh, it was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
DRX is a
우리가
very Legends player. They also seem to be very adept at baseball and football.
보내자 저거.
So,
나를 공격군다 이거 쌈 봤다. 발길 온다.
너플 있어. 아트노플이야.
본다 이거 본다.
나 뒤돌게. 나이스. 바텀으로 가면 끝나겠다.
예.
보스로 가자. 잘하면 노프림.
한번 맞아.
노프리야.
오케이 보자 잡자.
끝나.
미안.
힐 줬어.
게임이.
아, 날 맞는다.
미안 끝내. 제발 끝내.
나이스.
파워 쳐주세요.
시간 많아.
웨이브.
강경하지 마세요.
네.
아, 집중이 안 되지 이렇게.
All too easy. Not exactly the heightened voices that we've heard in some of our post-match listen-ins on these players. But a 30-minute victory, very elementary here for T1 as they move to match point in this best-of-5 series. Last time we saw this here in these playoffs, it was DRX then dropping the next two before coming back in game number 5. But I don't have the feeling that T1 are going to be able to falter at the next game. They are a team that is very, very good at staying true to their playstyle and just winning.
well, it does look like this is brewing up to be a 3-0 in T1's favor. And I think it's hard to imagine otherwise. If there is some wonky picks that are going to come out, now would be the time to do it for DragonX, because it's do or die for them here in playoff spring. And I just don't know where they're going to be able to find advantages, and I am very doubtful that they're going to try to go for a scaling team composition. It's just not what this team does.
Well, we'd like to see it from them, and we will have about 5 minutes to wait until we get into that draft for game number 3. I'm certainly hoping that this series is going to go at least one more game, so let's put our hands together for DRX as we await a pretty inevitable